This is Oppo's latest Reno3 Pro in this vibrant light blue and gold packaging, and out of the box you get your standard experience. First up, there's some warranty information and a SIM tool with an extra TPU case bundled in, as has become standard with most smartphones these days. Getting to the phone now, you see a lot of its specifications listed out on its plastic covering, and it's safe to say that the Reno3 Pro is quite camera focused. The back is pretty glossy and this finish is Oppo's midnight black. Of course, you see the quad camera primary setup, but there's also the front dual camera selfie setup made of a 44 megapixel and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. For the rest of the accessories, you get a power brick with some Oppo branding, a Type-C to Type-A USB cable for charging, and a pair of 3.5mm jack headphones, which is also really nice to see. Getting to the phone itself, up front you find a 6.4-inch Super AMOLED display with a 2400 by 1080 resolution. The 20:9 aspect ratio actually makes the phone feel manageable, and it further helps that the phone is pretty light for 2020 at 175 grams, and that could be because of its plastic back. The screen though is fairly nice and has Gorilla Glass 5 protection and a pre-installed screen protector out of the box. Being an AMOLED panel, there's nothing wrong with the display and it makes for some punchy colors. Oppo's also built in this OSIE vision effect to enhance colors further, and it definitely helps to some extent. But given the phone's price at 1,899 dirhams, it would have been nice to see a 90Hz refresh rate panel at least, and some stereo speakers to go with it. Nonetheless, the big focus point of the smartphone is the camera. The quad camera setup has a 64 megapixel sensor alongside a 13 megapixel telephoto lens with 2x optical zoom, which is fairly solid, but you can go all the way up to 20 times digitally, and that's at a visible loss in detail and quality. There's also an 8 megapixel ultra wide lens and a 2 megapixel black and white sensor to complete this setup. You can use the same setup for macro images as well as ultra steady videos, and so far the video experience has been steady when walking, although it doesn't work as well when running. There's also this 108 megapixel mode on the camera which I've tested, and to be honest it does make a difference, but only by a slight margin. What's more is that you're able to benefit from the dual selfie camera I talked about earlier, and while I've tested the camera a fair bit, extensive night mode testing for it, both primary and selfie, is something that you'll have to wait a bit more for. Now as for software, the phone runs ColorOS 7 and I've got no complaints here. It's a fairly toned down skin compared to what it was before, and it comes with Android 10. There's also 8GB of RAM and 256GB of UFS 2.1 storage on this variant we've got, which can be further expanded with microSD. The chipset in question is the MediaTek Helio P95, octa-core clocked at 2.2 GHz, and that too is fairly well equipped for both multitasking and heavy gaming. And to top it off, there's a 4025 mAh battery on this thing with 30-watt fast VOOC 4.0 charging, which does get you around 50% in 20 minutes, so that's pretty good. But we'll hold off on a full judgment of the Oppo Reno3 Pro until we test the camera in nighttime situations and give you guys a better idea of what you can expect from this battery. That's about it for this one. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. This was Vaibhav, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.